That peaceful night run, it's an illusion. Tonight, we expose 5 true jogging horror stories, each confirmed by survivors who wish they'd never laced up their shoes. What starts as familiar footsteps ends in nightmares that will haunt your every stride. First, a pre-dawn runner discovers her GPS lies when a pale watcher traps her in looping woods. Next, a marathon champion faces a shadow that moves between blinks near his city park. Then, a suburban jogger hears her dead grandmother's whisper from an abandoned house, followed by a warning no human throat could make. After that, a writer finds a country road with no end, only a woman with black hole eyes who warps reality itself. Finally, an urban trail runner meets a hooded figure who shouldn't exist. By the end, you'll question every shadow on your route and understand why they all heard the same bone-chilling phrase.
The Vanishing Jogger. Emily was a college student studying forensic psychology. She loved running early in the mornings, finding it sharpens her mind and clears her worries. Her favorite spot was Riverside Park, a peaceful stretch along the city's river, lined with old trees, park benches, and a winding trail that had been part of her routine for years. She knew every twist, every quiet nook. That particular morning, she woke before dawn, shivering in her hoodie and leggings. The air was cold, and dew still clung to the grass. As she stepped onto the trail, the moon cast long, flickering shadows. She listened to her favorite playlist, feeling the rhythm of her steps matching her heartbeat. About 20 minutes into her run, Emily saw him. A tall, gaunt man, pale skin, dark eyes that glinted too brightly in the pre-dawn gloom, standing beneath a dying tree. His posture was still, almost unnaturally tense. She thought he might be waiting for someone, or perhaps just lost in thought. She waved, but he didn't move. Instead, he just stared. A strange chill ran up her spine. She quickened her pace, trying to dismiss the discomfort. Still, she kept glancing over her shoulder. When she reached a bend, she'd turn her head, and there he'd be, silent, unmoving, watching her. Suddenly, the clouds covered the moon, plunging the trail into darkness. Her flashlight flickered, her heart pounding harder. She decided to head back. She slowed her pace to listen, just in case he followed. No sounds, just the faint rumble of distant cars. When Emily reached her parked car, she looked down and saw her phone lying on the ground. Her stomach clenched. She had no memory of dropping it. Picking it up, she saw her GPS data. The coordinates didn't match her route. Her device indicated she'd been running in circles for an additional 20 minutes, heading back toward the woods where she saw the man. That day, Emily reported everything to the police. They searched the woods, found strange footprints leading into the undergrowth, bare, deformed prints that looked like grappling marks. When they examined the trail, they found broken branches and signs of someone hiding behind trees. Over the following weeks, Emily became paranoid. She kept checking her surroundings. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been watching, not just that morning, but for weeks beforehand. One night, she received a cryptic message on her phone. "You shouldn't be here." It was anonymous, but the message sent a shiver down her spine. The shadow in the park. Jason was a competitive marathon runner, a veteran of long-distance races. He was known among his friends for his disciplined routes, mainly through the quiet, sprawling city park that stretched for miles. After work, he'd head there, sometimes in the evening, sometimes late at night. when the trails were deserted but safe enough. One particular night during a summer heat wave, Jason arrived just after sunset. The sky was awash of purple and orange. The city lights flickered in the distance. He laced his shoes, took a deep breath, and started his route. About a mile in, Jason noticed him, standing still behind a cluster of trees. Tall, with long limbs and a gaunt frame, the figure looked unnatural, almost like a shadow given form. As Jason approached, the figure didn't move. It seemed frozen in time, eyes dark and unreadable. His instinct told him to keep running, but curiosity overcame caution. As he drew closer, he tried to make out details. An almost skeletal face, sunken cheeks, a hollow stare. When Jason blinked, the figure was gone, but the sensation of being watched persisted. Minutes later, when he was nearing the exit, he felt those eyes again. Looking behind him, the figure appeared just outside his peripheral vision, never quite facing him, just lurking. Jason's pulse quickened, then footsteps, heavy, uneven, slow. He spun around. Nothing, just the dark, silent woods. But the sound was persistent, closer now, matching his speed. It was as if someone, or something, was following, stalking him. He pushed himself to sprint toward his car, lungs burning. When he finally burst out of the woods into the parking lot, he saw no one. But in the corner of his vision, he glimpsed a figure, standing farther away, watching silently, moving just beyond the reach of his sight. The next day, Jason discovered that a man matching that figure's description, a pale, eerily thin man, had vanished from the local area months before. Rumors swirled about a homeless man who'd fallen into the woods, but authorities never found him. The echoing voice. Sarah was a night owl, often jogging through her suburban neighborhood, streets lined with old oak trees, houses quiet and dark. She loved the calm and solitude, feeling it helped her clear her mind after a stressful day. That night, her route took her past the old, abandoned Miller house, a structure long since boarded up, windows shattered, shadows casting strange shapes. As she approached her favorite bench, she heard it, a faint whisper calling her name. She froze, heart pounding, and looked around. Silence, only the cold breeze brushing her face. Then the whisper came again, this time louder, more insistent. It sounded like her grandmother's voice, so familiar yet unnerving in the dark. Compelled, she stepped toward the house, peering through a gap in the boards. A figure appeared, a disheveled man, eyes sunken, his mouth moving as if speaking, yet no sound emerged. She felt a shiver run down her spine. Instinctively, she backed away but stopped when the man's voice emerged, a raspy, hollow whisper. "You shouldn't be here." His lips moved as he stared directly at her. Suddenly, a piercing scream echoed through the night. The figure dissolved into the shadows, leaving her trembling. Her heart pounding, she stumbled away, her mind racing. The next day, she told the police. They found footprints, small, unusual, leading from the abandoned house into the woods, but no sign of the man. Some local legends about the house surfaced, tales of lost souls and tragic deaths. But Sarah knew something about that night was different. She never went near that part of the neighborhood again. That whisper haunted her, echoing in her mind long after she left the scene. doesn't end. Mark was a lone traveler, a rider who loved quiet nights and long walks. He often jogged through the countryside, embracing the sounds of distant crickets and rustling leaves. That night, the road stretched endlessly, an eerie straight stretch, flanked by dense woods that seemed to watch him. At first, the run felt invigorating, but as minutes turned into hours, he noticed something strange. Each time he approached a bend, it looked exactly the same as the last. The trees, the distant horizon, the hill ahead. All the same, his breathing grew ragged, frustration mounting. He tried to run faster, but somehow, that only made things worse. The scenery refused to change, the trail looping back on itself. Suffocating fog rolled in, and the light dimmed. His Garmin watch flickered, warning dead batteries. Panic gripped him. Was he lost in some infinite nightmare? Then, a figure appeared. A white woman in a flowing dress, her face obscured. When she turned, her eyes glowed black. He froze, heart pounding as she drifted toward him. The path warped, trees contorting into twisted shapes. Mark ran blindly, but the forest shifted, trapping him in an unending maze. Suddenly, Mark awoke beside his car, his clothes soaked in sweat, the night eerily silent. The road had vanished, just an empty stretch of blackness. He looked behind him, no sign of the labyrinth. Was it a nightmare? Or did something more sinister happen? Ever since that night, he's avoided that part of the countryside, haunted by the realization that some roads may never truly end, and some shadows never leave. The Last Runner. Lisa was an adventurous spirit, loving the thrill of night runs along urban trails that followed the river, a route she knew well, but never fully trusted, especially after dark. On this night, she decided to explore further, beyond her usual miles, into an unfamiliar, poorly lit trail that cut through a dense, shadowed part of the city. The city lights gleamed across the river, but beneath her, the trail was dark, almost swallowed by shadows. Her footsteps echoed noisily as she pressed onward. Suddenly, she sensed she wasn't alone. Behind her, she heard the heavy steps, matching her pace, relentless. She dared a glance back and saw him, a man, hunched, face obscured by a hood, clothes ragged and torn. She quickened her step, heart pounding like a drum. Turning a corner, Lisa saw him, that same figure, standing in the middle of the path, motionless. As she hesitated, he whispered, voice raspy and cold, "You shouldn't be here." His words froze her. She felt paralyzed. Then, in an instant, he lunged. Lisa ran blindly, dodging trees and debris. Her breath was ragged as she fought panic, heart pounding out of her chest. Somehow, she burst into a well-lit city park nearby, safe at last. But that night changed everything. She kept thinking about his eyes, holes where her worst fears lived, and wondered what he wanted. Was he a psycho, or something else? She'd never run that trail again, and every time she passed that part of the city, she felt watched, waiting just beyond the edge of her perception.